There are moments in life when silence feels heavy, when the weight of unspoken words presses down on your chest and your heart cries out for release. Maybe you've walked through storms where fear tried to steal your voice. Maybe disappointment whispered that you have nothing left to say. But I came to tell you today, your voice is not weak, your voice is not broken, and your voice is not forgotten. Your voice carries power, authority, and destiny. It is a weapon designed to tear down the lies of defeat and to build up the walls of faith. The words you speak shape the world around you. When you choose to speak life instead of death, hope instead of despair, victory instead of defeat, you release the force of faith that moves mountains. Your voice has the power to silence the enemy, to command fear to flee, and to declare a future filled with promise. Do not bury your words in silence. Do not hand your voice over to fear. Lift it up. Cry out with boldness. Use your voice to claim the victory that is already yours. Words are seeds, and every seed has the power to grow into something greater than itself. When you open your mouth, you are planting into the soil of your own future, and the harvest you reap will be determined by the words you speak. Too often we underestimate the power of what comes out of our mouths, thinking they are just casual expressions or harmless phrases. But every word carries weight. Words can either lift a soul from despair or bury it deeper. Speak life means to align your words with hope, faith, and possibility rather than allowing fear, doubt, or defeat to dominate. Life and death are in the power of the tongue, and the choice to build or destroy is right there, within every sentence we utter. Think about it. How many dreams have been killed not by circumstances, but by words like, I can't, it's impossible, or I'll never? And how many miracles have been birthed through words like, I believe, it will happen, and I'm not giving up? Speaking life is not pretending everything is perfect. It is choosing to see beyond the present pain and declaring the truth of what can be. One of the most heart-touching examples of this truth comes from the life of a young boy who had been told by teachers he would never amount to anything. He struggled in school, and words of rejection seemed to follow him everywhere he went. But his mother refused to let those words define him. Every day she would look into his eyes and declare, You are not a failure. You are smart. You are chosen. You will do great things. At first he didn't believe her, but her consistent words of life slowly began to plant seeds of confidence. That young boy grew up to become a doctor, a man who not only overcame the labels placed upon him, but used his profession to save countless lives. What changed his trajectory? It wasn't money, luck, or even natural talent. It was the power of words, spoken with faith and love. His mother's voice refused to agree with defeat. Instead, she chose to speak life, and those words carried him into his destiny. You may not realize it, but someone's breakthrough could be waiting on the words you choose to speak. Your child may be carrying the weight of discouragement, longing for someone to affirm that they are more than their struggles. Your friend may be silently battling failure, needing a voice that says, I see greatness in you. Even your own heart may be starving for the sound of your own faith. Too many people rehearse defeat in their lives, saying things like, I'll never change, I'm stuck, or this is just who I am. But the truth is, when you declare these things, you give power to them. If you can give power to defeat with your words, how much more power can you release when you choose to declare victory, healing, and abundance? Words are creative forces, shaping your mindset, shifting your perspective, and aligning your spirit with possibility. Speaking life is not only for those around you, it is also the daily act of reminding yourself who you are and what you were created to be. There is a spiritual law at work. What you speak consistently becomes what you believe, and what you believe directs your actions. If you constantly speak defeat, you will eventually live defeated. If you continually speak life, hope will begin to rise, faith will strengthen, and your outlook will change. Think about a farmer who plants seeds. He doesn't immediately see fruit, but he trusts that in time what he planted will grow. In the same way, your words are planting seeds into your future. Each declaration of faith, each positive confession, is like watering the soil of your destiny. You may not see results overnight, but keep speaking life, keep declaring hope, keep aligning your words with faith, because in due season you will see the harvest. It's not about ignoring challenges, but about refusing to let your words magnify the problem instead of the solution. Speaking life means choosing to agree with the future God has for you rather than the fear the world offers you. So when the storm comes and the pressure to give in to negativity rises, remember the story of the boy and his mother. Words changed his destiny, and they can change yours too. No matter what has been spoken over your life, whether it was rejection, doubt, or fear, you have the power to replace it with truth. Choose today to speak words that carry life. Say, I am able, I am strong, I am victorious, my future is bright, my destiny is secure. Let every word that leaves your mouth plant hope, not despair, courage, not fear, possibility, not limitation. Because every time you choose to speak life, you are shaping not only your present but also your future, creating an atmosphere where miracles can happen, faith can grow, and destiny can unfold. Every day you are in a battle that cannot always be seen with natural eyes. The enemy whispers lies, plants seeds of fear, and tries to convince you that you are powerless. He tells you that your past disqualifies you, that your failures define you, and that your future is bleak. But you were not created to live under the torment of those lies. You were given a weapon, one that does not rely on physical strength or human ability. The power of your voice. The enemy thrives in silence. As long as you keep quiet, he continues to flood your mind with fear and defeat. But the moment you open your mouth and begin to speak words of truth, faith, and authority, you silence his lies. You are not meant to argue with him in your thoughts. You are meant to confront him with your voice. Fear cannot stand against a declaration of faith. Darkness cannot linger where words of light are spoken. The very act of speaking truth cuts through deception like a sword, reminding you and reminding the enemy that you are not a victim, you are a victor. There is a story of a woman who had battled years of crippling anxiety. Each morning she woke up with dread, her mind flooded with thoughts like, you can't do this, you'll fail again, and you'll never get free. For a long time she accepted those thoughts as her reality, but one day she decided she would not stay silent anymore. With trembling lips she began to declare out loud, I will not fear. I am strong. I will overcome this. At first the words felt empty and her body still shook with anxiety, but as she kept speaking gaily, her words began to drown out the thoughts in her mind. Slowly, peace started replacing panic. Confidence began replacing dread, and hope silenced the despair that once controlled her. Years later, she testified that her turning point was not when her circumstances changed, but when she found the courage to open her mouth and speak truth. Her voice became the very weapon that silenced the lies tormenting her for so long. Your voice has the ability to shift atmospheres, not only in your own life, but in the lives of others around you. Have you ever walked into a room where fear and heaviness seem to hang in the air? That is the enemy trying to gain territory through silence. But when someone begins to speak words of hope, that atmosphere begins to shift. You carry that same authority. When the enemy tells you that you can't, speak out boldly, I can. When he tells you that it's over, declare, this is just the beginning. When he says you're alone, remind him out loud, I am never forsaken. These are not just words, they are weapons. The enemy cannot read your thoughts, but he cannot ignore your voice. Your declarations cut off his lies, leaving no room for him to keep whispering defeat into your spirit. Think about how battles are fought in the natural world. The side that dominates the sound often dominates the battle. War cries, shouts of victory, and the sound of authority can intimidate the enemy long before the first strike. In the same way, when you open your mouth to declare truth, you are making a sound in the spiritual realm that terrifies the enemy. He counts on your silence. He expects you to sit quietly while he fills your mind with defeat. But when you open your mouth and speak with authority, you break his hold. That is why your voice is so vital. It is not about how loud you are, but about the authority carried in your words. Whispered truth is still stronger than shouted lies. Every time you speak, you are reminding both yourself and the enemy who truly holds the power. The story of the woman with anxiety reminds us that silence often prolongs the struggle, but a voice of faith can cut through years of torment. The enemy will always try to convince you that your words don't matter, that speaking truth is useless, and that nothing will change. But do not underestimate the sound of your own faith-filled voice. Even when it feels small, even when you tremble as you speak, those words are shaking the very foundation of fear. You silence the enemy, not by agreeing with him, but by confronting him with truth. Your voice is your weapon, and when you use it, the lies that once controlled you lose their grip. So never let the enemy have the last word. Lift your voice and let truth be louder than every lie. Your destiny is not something to tiptoe around, whisper about, or wait for others to approve. It is a God-given assignment, a calling that was placed inside you before you ever took your first breath. Too often, people live as though their future is uncertain, as if they are wandering through life hoping something good will just happen. But destiny doesn't come alive in silence. It is unlocked when you declare it with boldness. Your words shape the path before you, and your declarations prepare your spirit to walk in confidence. To declare your destiny boldly is to refuse to shrink back in fear, to stand tall when doubt tries to make you small, and to proclaim, "This is who I am, and this is where I am going." When you speak your destiny with conviction, you are aligning your voice with a purpose already written over your life. The world may try to tell you that you are unqualified, unworthy, or incapable, but your declaration drowns out those voices, anchoring your future in faith instead of fear. There was once a young girl who grew up in poverty, surrounded by voices that constantly told her she would never escape her circumstances. Her family struggled, opportunities were few, and everyone around her expected her to simply accept a life of limitation. But deep within her heart, she carried a dream of becoming a teacher, someone who would inspire others to rise above their conditions. Each night before she went to bed, she would stand in front of a cracked mirror and boldly declare out loud, "I will teach. I will make a difference. My life will impact generations." At first, it seemed foolish, because nothing in her environment supported those words. But her declarations began to shape her perspective, giving her the courage to chase scholarships, push through failures, and keep striving when quitting would have been easier. Years later, she not only became a teacher, but went on to open schools for underprivileged children. Her bold declarations birthed the courage she needed to step into her destiny, and her destiny, in turn, transformed countless lives. When you declare your destiny boldly, you are not just speaking into the air. You are speaking into the unseen future, calling it into existence. Declarations of destiny ignite hope, strengthen resilience, and give clarity when the path seems uncertain. Bold words build bridges where fear sees only walls. They remind you daily that your life is not an accident, but a story being written with purpose. Too many people live in hesitation, afraid to speak what they truly believe they were created to do because of fear of failure or ridicule. But your destiny requires your agreement, and agreement comes through your words. If you say, "I am not enough," you shrink your destiny. If you say, "I am called, I am chosen, I am able," you give your destiny permission to unfold. You don't wait until everything looks perfect to declare boldly. You declare it in the middle of uncertainty, in the middle of obstacles, knowing your words carry the power to carve out a path where none existed before. There is a supernatural alignment that happens when you boldly declare your destiny. Your mind begins to shift, your heart begins to believe, and your actions begin to follow. Declarations aren't empty statements, they are commitments you make to yourself and to your purpose. They serve as reminders when doubt creeps in and as anchors when storms come. Just as an athlete shouts victory before stepping onto the field, your declarations prepare you to walk into the battles of life already confident of the outcome. This isn't arrogance. It is faith. It is the belief that what has been planted in you is too great to stay hidden and too important to stay silent. Every time you declare boldly, you are standing in agreement with your divine assignment. And that agreement becomes the fuel that drives you forward even when the odds seem stacked against you. The story of the young girl reminds us that destiny is not bound by circumstances, backgrounds, or the opinions of others. It is unlocked through the boldness of your declaration. Your words give life to the dream inside you, even when no one else believes. There will always be opposition, always voices of doubt, always challenges that try to silence you. But when you rise up and declare boldly, you refuse to let fear write your story. Your voice calls forth the future you were meant to live, and your boldness becomes the key that opens doors no one thought possible. Speak your destiny with fire in your spirit and conviction in your heart. For when you declare boldly, you set into motion the very steps that carry you into the life you were created to live. Your voice is the very key that shapes your life, the weapon that pushes back fear, the tool that unlocks destiny, and the force that silences every lie spoken against you. It is more than sound. It is power, authority, and faith in motion. When you choose to speak words of life, you plant seeds of hope that grow into victories. When you lift your voice against the enemy's lies, you break the chains of fear and step into freedom. And when you boldly declare your destiny, you align yourself with the purpose you were created for, no matter what circumstances try to say. This journey is not about how loud you are, but about how bold and consistent you choose to be. Never underestimate the strength that flows from your own words. Your voice can move mountains, open doors, heal hearts, and shift atmospheres. Speak life, silence the enemy, and declare boldly what has been written over your future. Your weapon is already in your mouth. Use it with courage, use it with faith, and watch your life transform. Thank you for listening. Stay encouraged, and may every word you speak create the future you were destined for. God bless you.